Hello one and all, and welcome to Cymatic TV. This is going to be a bit of an energy update on what's been going on the sun, how it's going to be affecting the earth and yourself and myself, and just seeing what this has got to do with sort of pole shift, the rotation of the earth, possible earthquakes in the past and also in the future. We're going to be going through how it's going to be affecting the chakras of the earth and etc. So let's just start off with what actually happened on the sun. Here you can see the solar flare that happened at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on the 20th.
Don't believe, just know. Cymatic TV, turning vibration into reality.
So here you can see the rotating sun here, and we can see there's a sunspot that goes off on the central disk, really, more than anything. It's just coming into view to the earth here on the left hand side and the northern hemisphere of the sun, and this is what it looks like close up. Absolutely beautiful event. Always is an absolutely amazing event to see these sort of things go off from the sun, and this is vibrant energy. Now the thing is with this, there was not a lot of plasma energy that came through this eruption, and we can see this as well on this model here. This is the eruption that's happening. It's the blast that's coming in the direction of the earth of energy. There is sometimes more charged particles, and this is very low charged particles that we can see, and we can see this also on the LASCO sort of images, which shows the corona of the sun, and there's nothing really that comes off in the way of sort of plasma at the end of this video, the end of this little snippet of the sun that comes in this direction. So it's much more sort of X-flare energy. It was really bright, very air-type energy. Now air-type energy works into the mental a lot more than anything else. It also does affect the heart as well. Because the heart and the mental are very, very well connected, as much as the solar plexus is connected to the mental as well. And we can see here with the indent of the X-ray flux as it happens. We can see it hit on the middle of the Atlantic. Boom! There it goes, and that is a particular spot that we're going to go into now, and we're going to talk about that in accordance to sort of the chakras, earthquakes, and that sort of thing, and also maybe the rotation of the earth and how it's going to affect you. So the first thing we need to know about is the South Atlantic Anomaly. Now the South Atlantic Anomaly, here is a little video, is a little time lapse, and it's been splitting into two. Now, traditionally, the poles, the northern pole has really sort of two aspects to it, and the southern pole is much more sort of singular. That's why you get the rotation of the north pole in a particular way as to what the south pole is. Now, the poles have changed their direction. They're now going in, the north pole is going in direct towards Siberia and China, heading towards the what I would perceive as being the Filipino plate, and the same thing is happening in the southern hemisphere, and we can see this with these pink sort of parts of the magnetic field of the earth, and this South Atlantic anomaly is in blue, and we can see this over time, the change of what is actually happening. So as these two poles on the other side meet up on opposite the exact South American anomaly, we get a situation where in pole shift at some given point, you have the north and south pole changes position and goes halfway to the almost to the equators, and then it will flip back and then can then flip totally. And this is what pole excursion is all about. And then if it goes into full inversion, then the north will be the south will be the north, and etc. But this is interesting how it plays into the earth. I did mention on the energy update on Sunday about the Earth's course coming to a standstill. Is that what scientists are trying to say? But it could be the standing wave of the plasma ball, which I think is in the middle of the Earth. rather than molten iron. And it's like a standing wave, so we can't see the progression as per se, because the wave is constantly standing in one place. And this is because the Earth's speeding up. It's like looking out your window and seeing the wheels of the car. Sometimes they turn forward. Sometimes it appears to be turning backwards. Sometimes it appears to be stationary. And this is this whole sort of process of going from one side to the other between the magnetic fields. Now, the thing is, with this South American anomaly, that actually touches what I would perceive as being the root chakra of the Earth, which is on Ulysses Salt Lake in Bolivia. But also, if you like, that's where the South American anomaly is happening, and also on the northern part, where you get what would be the eastern part of the South American anomaly, where you get the meeting of the two poles. Now, this is meeting near the crown chakra, which is Mount Kailash in the Himalayas. And if you invert the energy, you end up with the crown. It's the only 2 points that does this on my map, is when I invert the energy, you end up with the crown being on the root and the root being on the crown. Now, this is important because the solar flare, the X-ray flare, the energy that came from that flare hit that South Atlantic anomaly. And that's where the weakness is. So it actually has gone through the Earth a little bit like, I would say, like Cupid's arrow goes through the heart. And that's what it's done. And what it may do is possibly it creates like this continual flow of energy, which is going to help that plasma ball in the middle to speed up even more. So this now brings us into the idea of the vortices and the earthquakes. So between the South American or South Atlantic anomaly and where the two poles are meeting, you have, if you look in the center of the two, you have, it goes right across the middle of Africa. And I think this is where we're getting the exceptional earthquake which happened in Morocco. Hearts goes out to the people out there. Lovely place. Really do love Morocco when I went there. But also, I think in the next week, and this is something to be looking out for, particularly on point 20 of the, I think it's 20, 20, around Iran, that sort of area, we should be looking out for an earthquake, because there was one that came in on the blue line just west of the root chakra. And that energy goes all the way up that blue dotted line, comes all the way down the other side. And when it meets its equal, in particular, is the red line. That's when you're going to get that vertical energy. So in that whole zone around the 20, I would expect a reasonably sized earthquake. So a bit of a heads up there. There is a point as well in Mexico as well where these two lines meet. And this could also be a seismic area to keep an eye on. So those are those two places there, which is playing in between the root chakra and the sacrum as well. When I did a reading on my sister channel, which is called the Astroflower, where I have this system according to my healing system of energy, I did a reading where there seems to be with the eclipses, if you look at the eclipse, it goes from down that red line pretty much from the sacrum down to the root. Now we're getting earthquakes that could possibly be in there, and this could be showing this whole idea of coming back to what I've been calling the logical evolution. And this is how it can affect us in particular. And one thing to note, and this is where we may be affected more than anything else without even realizing it, is the speed of the rotation of the Earth. Now, if you imagine that solar flare going through the X-ray, going through the planet, like an X-ray goes through your body, goes through the planet, and as it goes past that center plasma ball, it speeds it up and makes it makes it go faster. Now, we've seen the increase in the Earth's rotation, and as the magnetic field decreases, we're going to get more and more increasing of the rotation of the Earth. a little bit like a ice skater who turns on themselves with their arms open, and as they gradually pull their arms in, they increase their speed of rotation. And this is exactly what's happening to the Earth. So days are actually getting shorter. They're micro milliseconds. And you wouldn't notice it, but you would feel it. And this is where it comes into play, where we've got the equinox coming up, followed by the solar eclipse going from the root chakra down to, from the sacrum chakra down to the root chakra. Now, these are personal desires. These are our fundamental desires. That's what comes from the sacrum. But it's going down into the root, which is a very grounded, obviously, energy that keeps us positioned in time and space in regards to energy, as it were. And this is giving our fundamental desires a point of reference. And then finally we get the lunar eclipse, which touches the crown chakra as well. So this is where the crown and the root can do their interphasing. So you may feel, and I think this is what we would generally feel, we feel the sensation that time is going quicker. And we can see here in this graph here, the speed of the day. And as the number of hours go past in the day, it gets less and less, and therefore the rotation of the Earth is increasing. And we can see this increase over time. The funny thing is this goes in rhythm, so it's like a pendulum clock, as I said earlier on. And this graph here, you can see as you go through the years, I'll let you pause and scroll down. You can see traditionally in the past, the days have actually been getting longer more than anything else, and on a constant basis. But it's only in the last 3 years that we are actually increasing enormously in time. And this will go up, it will go back down slightly and go up a little bit like a stairwell. Exactly what we saw on this graph here. This is like a staircase going down. You're getting the similar sort of thing as we're gradually speeding up. And I think it's going to go more. And we will feel that as people. So with our fundamentals desires of trying to find a point of reference for those fundamental desires within us as beings, you may find within society this logical revolution will take more speed and weight, because the sacrum is incredibly it's fundamental desires. So it's fundamental desires such as, I'm hungry, fight and flight, that sort of thing. It does connect with the mental energy incredibly well as well, because everything connects to the mental energy, like energy, or the mental energy connects to everything else. But this is where we're going to be rooting it in logic. So if it no longer stands up in logic, we're not going to pay attention to it. We're not going to feed it energetically. And this will be a bit of a revelation with the crown chakra, which we get on the lunar eclipse as well, on that part there. We have the equinox coming up, and I will be doing a special equinox reading reading on the Astroflower, but also at the same time, I will be dowsing the energy lines at the time of the equinox. And we can see the difference in size of the energy line. And it is really mechanic. And it's going to be very interesting to see how this happens, because we've had a coronal hole come in as well over the past few days. And now it's going to be followed by a very fast energy. So we're going to be going from slow to fast. And we may get the sensation of things moving incredibly quickly, but not really going anywhere. It's going to be rooted into place. And this is where the logic will come in, and it will give us that greater understanding of what we're actually doing. But it's going to make it could make a bit of frustration, a bit of fundamental fiery energy basically within people. So I'd be very wary of that from within yourself as well. If you can attach that emotion to logic, then that gives you a sense of purpose to your logic. You can use that sort of frustration energy in a very beautiful way, where frustration is sort of saying, no, I'm going to get this done. And you do. and you do things, and you see it right to the end. It gives you a good finishing line to all the projects and the things that you just want to do in your life. So you can use it in a really, really beautiful way, as much as it can be harmful. Like everything in life, I guess. It's just like a nice glass of wine. I don't really drink that much, but very, very rarely. But it's nothing like a nice glass of wine. But if I did drink 2 or 3 bottles, and I have in an evening, it's not been a problem in my youth, in my early days. It's not the same kettle of fish, is it? It's completely opposite. And this is what we're dealing with at the moment. And I think this is going to push over the next month, in fact. So it'd be interesting to see the rotation of the Earth in the next month, 2 months, and see if it's wildly out of predictions of what they say may well happen with the rotation of the Earth. As I say, I'm doing that extra video tomorrow where I'm going to be dowsing the ley lines. So I'll see you there for that. Yes, pole shift, it's happening. And we're coming into that point of midpoint between the two, and it will flip completely, or it could go back. So it depends on if we're going into a point of polar excursion or polar shift. And I personally think we're going into the shift simply because the accumulation of rhythms are all coming together as one. So there you go. We've got the energy update as well coming up on Sunday night as well, as I usually do. And yes, other videos as they come out and what's going on in the sun. In the meantime, don't forget, don't believe, just know. Life should be fun, so please do enjoy.